Hello, hello. We are in Witchy Wednesdays. Welcome, and here's our intro. We are here Wednesday night, like every week, and we are doing our Witchy Wednesday with our guest here, Lachette, that is going to talk to us about magical herbs. There's one to
Hello.
grow, there's one to get little. No, I'm kidding. But I'm gonna let you all introduce yourselves like every week. If you want to go first, our guest Lachette, you can tell everyone where to find you and what you're here for.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lishat from Scarlet Moon Creations. You can find me on Instagram, Scarlet_Moon_Creations, and on my Etsy shop, Scarlet Moon Creates. And I'm on Twitter and other things as well, but those are the main two. And I make all natural bath and body products, and I do readings, oracle, and tarot cards. So that's why I'm here to talk about herbs.
Awesome. And we have our guide with us, Jess.
Hi, I'm Just Tea Cakes. You can find me on Instagram at Just Tea Cakes, and I'm super excited to learn about these herbs. For real. I'm very excited.
Awesome. And we have with us Nikki.
Greetings. Y'all caught me. I had to grab a snack and I was like, oh my God. But I'm Nikki.
Thirsty Nikki.
Nikki. I'm on IG at Nikki Chevelle. And then I'm
Thank
positive.
you. And I am Big Cherry. You can find me at bigcherry.com or at Bori Curves on Instagram. Okay, so let's dig into this. I want to know, and I'm sure you're going to explain all about it to us, but what is herbalism? Is it called?
Yeah. Um. Well, first, I guess depending on where you look, there's, I guess, different definitions of what herbs are. As horticulturalists and people who are really into just plants in general, they'll say like they have to have soft stems and vascular, non-woody, big terms like that. But most people honestly just think herbs and they think of leaves and plants that are really leafy that you can use for culinary, spiritual, or fragrance purposes or cooking, right? And then if we're specifically talking about magical herbs, all of that doesn't matter. Really, most people are talking about plants when they say herbs and using magical. When we're talking about magic, even if you're like cooking, that tends to be the same case. Like the only difference is we'll say herbs and spices. So, herbalism is just the use of those things for therapeutic purposes. And again, that could be culinary, spiritual, or for scent, like aromatherapy, or healing in general. And that could include not just the leaves, but the stems, roots, the barks from trees, resin, so like the sap or any part that is edible or usable for human beings. Because some are not.
Oh, okay. That's important to know because I don't know the difference between one thing and the other.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, that looks like a plant. Okay, let's go.
That's honestly what herbalism really is, particularly in the US, because we don't really have that many rules. When you start looking into these things, or if any of you guys are into makeup enough to like start looking at the ingredients or the backgrounds of the companies, and then maybe you hear something in the news or on the grapevine about shady practices, or somebody has used makeup or skincare that's not really good for them. Maybe they get a rash or something gross, and then you never hear anything happen to the company. That's because the US doesn't really have many rules or laws for any of this stuff, and herbalism kind of gets put under cosmetics for the most part.
Oh,
Interesting.
So where other countries you can get licensed, I mean, you can get licensed here, but it's kind of like pseudoscience because they're not real doctors. And
okay.
we were kind of edging into that earlier before we started. But
Is it
how about
holistic?
Holistic, yeah. But that's interesting because that's the base for actual medicine. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yep? So like just asked about anti-inflammatories, and that's NSAIDs use plants that are anti-inflammatory that have a particular compound in them, and they take that compound out of those plants, and they um, basically put it by itself with, I guess, some binders and other things to just make it, good for shelf quality, and
right.
then they sell it to us mass market, right? So capitalism. But herbs don't really work the same on everybody the same way every time you use it. So it's not sellable in the way that pills are for the most part.
Mm.
So that's why it's holistic health. And that's why a lot of health insurance doesn't cover that kind of thing, because it's not real medicine. It's not real science. So
Wow.
that's why we have to figure these things out for ourselves. But
Right.
like go to France or India or China, and that's built into the medical community. That's why it's also like hit or miss if you go to a doctor and they could recommend an herbalist or even a nutritionist, which there's some overlap.
Yeah.
Um, a little sad, but
That is interesting though, because like you said, you would have to look yourself into what you can take for it to be a replacement. But then again, it's almost like a area of medicine that you would have to study and research so much anyways. That is like, like you need an expert regardless. So
I think most people kind of specialize, even if you don't like you. There are schools for herbalism, just to clarify. And I want to also put a disclaimer: I am not a licensed herbalist. You can become one. I'm working on it, but I'm not there yet. So I'm also not a doctor. I've never played one on TV either. So I'm not like anything. Do your own research, talk to an herbalist, talk to a medical professional that you trust to like listen to you and give you good advice. Don't just take anything I say here as like gold to the bank, because it's not.
okay. And you said that the herbs can be used in different things, like focusing on the spiritual realm of things, like how can you use the herbs? I know that we have here Nikki and Jess, and they talked about like what when they want to cleanse the energy when they're doing a reading, like they've used some things, but like what are other ways that we can use them?
So all the many ways you want to use magic, I guess, or however you want to focus your magic, if you want to do that um, from a witchcraft point of view. Um, so, like you just mentioned, like cleansing, that's a kind of magical thing. You can do smoke cleansing, which can be smudging, or other bundles of herbs. Like one of my favorites is mugwort because it grows everywhere all the time, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try to weed it out, mugwort will come back. If you think dandelions are bad, there's mugwort. You live in a city and you're walking down the street and you happen to see plants on the edge of the sidewalk, in the cracks of the sidewalk, that's probably mugwort.
I'm
And it'll
showing
probably,
the mugwort here because you did mention that one. The mugwort is this one.
yeah.
Okay, I think
And since I mentioned it, it's good for helping psychic abilities and also for dream work. It's very popular to put into dream pillows,
ooh,
and or you can just put a bunch of mugwort under your own pillow, or some people put it under the bed, and or you can make a tincture or a tea and drink it. I have to tell you a little story about myself in mugwort. I love it very much, but remember when I said these plants affect people differently?
yeah.
I learned very quickly that I have just a little goes a long way. I first tried a mugwort tea, and I think I had like about 8 ounces. I like tea, and it was just like you make regular tea. You boil the water. I have these tea leaf bags that I got from the store.
Okay.
They're degradable. Put the mugwort in there, and it wasn't even the full bag. And oh my god, I was lucid dreaming for like 2 weeks, and
Oh,
I was I can't deal with this. And it's not the first time I've had lucid dreams. I was like, this is not restful. I don't need to be seeing all of these things.
You
It
were
was
like too immersed in it.
yeah, and I was just like, that was an 8 ounce cup, and I think maybe 2 teaspoons of dried mugwort, and like I said, I pulled it out of the ground. Like where I got it from is a place that I know they don't spray pesticides or anything like that.
mm,
So I know, oh yeah, I know other people who don't have that problem. All right, I'm gonna call it a problem. Other people might, be looking for that. But now I know I will not be drinking a full cup of mugwort unless I.
how do you dry it? Did you like air dry it, or did you put it in like a ninja or something? Like I have a ninja that
I,
I
I'm
know how to dehydrate stuff, so I feel like I could put it in there.
Yeah, I have one now too, an air fryer, and it has a dehydrate
Yes.
thing, but that takes too long, and it's not that big, but if you have small amounts, you can go ahead and do that. But to dry even just leaves, it takes several hours,
Mm.
um, and if that's gonna happen, what I did was I'm in a New York City apartment and I don't live by myself, so I bought extra, those window screens that you could just pop in and take out when it's not summer anymore.
Mhm.
So I stretched it out over my radiators, which are not working right now, and I washed it to get rid of any bugs and placed them as separate as I can so they dry quicker if they're not like overlapping or anything like that. And I just left it there for a couple of days and
Okay.
it's dry. After that, I crush it up and I put it in one of the many jars I save or a paper bag, which is also good to keep your herbs fresh and non dusty in between uses. But mugwort, aside from that magical purposes, it also does help women regulate their menstruation. So if you're having issues with that, particularly older women, I don't know what the demographics of your audience is, but
All over the place.
I've
Yeah.
heard menopause, it helps for that. So, or if you have some other uh, menstrual or uterine issues that are impeding your menstruation, you can look into mugwort for that. But that's like non magical.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, it's well known for that.
You want to say
Plants.
hi to Cam Rule real quick? Hi, Cam Rule is back.
Hi.
He's not alive. He
Hi.
is back. That is Jess's biggest fan.
Oh, it's nice to meet your fans.
Yeah. Question before we continue, because I know there's a lot
Mhm.
about this, but what would be? I mean, you told us you like mugwort a lot. Is that your favorite herb, or like the one you use the most?
Um, I guess at this point it is. One of the topics I had there was plant spirit allies, and that's one of mine. Um, it's once you really get close to a plant, like what you're studying these plants, you're being around them, and then when you're talking to them, you're planting them, you're watering them, and you're doing all this stuff. Like now it's your buddy and it's a living thing, and if you have this reciprocal relationship going, then it's hard to not like see it as its own entity, its own spirit. And um Mugwort is friendly, I feel like, because it's everywhere. So um and it's a fairly easy herb to get to know. And so when you want to include it in your magical workings or your spiritual workings, um, you can. It's often mugwort in particular is associated with the moon. We have that connection to womanhood and the womb and all of that stuff. Um, and the what is it? The Latin name is like Artemisia vulgaris. I could be saying the second part of that wrong, but it's named after the goddess Artemis. So if you worship Artemis, you might want to use mugwort in your practices or give that as an offering to her or have that on your Artemis altar. Or if you have a moon altar, you can include mugwort as well. So that's another spiritual aspect. You can pull out a if you have an herbal deck, like I have two, you can pull out a card that has mugwort and put that on your altar if you don't have.
Oh, there we go.
Jess is ready.
Yes.
So, like, you want to have, like, not necessarily an Artemis altar, but a moon altar. If you have, like, a moon cycle practice you're trying to get into, mugwort could be your spiritual buddy, your plant spirit ally in that practice to help you either get started or keep going or as a reminder. It's also a very good smoke cleansing plant, so you can bundle it up. It smells very good when you burn it.
Mm.
Um, I'm gonna say this here. I don't do a lot of smoke cleansing or smudging because just in general, burning things bother my sinuses. And
Okay.
So, question: what could you use that in like a spiritual bath?
you can, yep, definitely. And that's a good one because it's also associated with water, which makes sense because the moon and water go together. Um, so that could be your spiritual bath. Um, and it doesn't have to be like a full body bath because I make a lot of bath salts and soaks, and a lot of people are like, I don't want to sit in a person's stew. And that aside, um, your other option is you can have a foot bath or a head bath. Just put it in the bucket and pour it over your head. Bath done.
I've had shower satchels before where you just like hook it on
Yes.
the shower head and it sprays through that.
Yes.
And then that
I've done those not too often. I think it's mostly because I'm unlucky in my apartment shower head situation where it doesn't quite spray where I want it to when I do those. But that is also a great idea, especially if you have aromatic herbs. So just the ones that smell good, basically. The rose, lavender, the flowers are great for that. But there's others. I wouldn't say mugwort. Uh, I'm trying to remember the name of it. All of the mints really are great for that kind of thing. Because you kind of, the water doesn't even have to hit it necessarily, but if you have heat, the steam will bring out basically the essential oils of the plants, and they all have essential oils, but some of them smell good, and others just smell like green. So not everybody likes that. Um, Eucalyptus, that's a popular one for those baths. Eucalyptus in general is just good for the respiratory system, like a lot of the mint families. And having that in your bath, you get the steam, which usually helps break up mucus anyway. And then the, oh, kitty.
I know. That's so cute.
What was I saying? I got
Yeah, eucalyptus. It's funny because like this is the thing. I'm not knowledgeable in all this. I'm like the newbie always in these conversations. And then I'm like, oh, because I got eucalyptus just because I like the smell of it. And during the fall, you go to a farmer's market, everyone has it. And what I did, I got a bunch of eucalyptus and I kind of tied it and I put it in my shower head. And whenever the steam comes in, like you can smell the eucalyptus, and I love that. But I never thought about having a purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny that I instinctively like put it in my shower head to steam.
That's what we do. We have instincts. You follow them. You don't need rules.
Right.
You have your instinct. But if you do a little bit of study, even just have conversations with other people like this, like it helps, make it more conscious. So maybe the next time you might not wait for the fall if you have spring allergies, or you're allergic to something else, or you get like a cold or chest cold or something like that, and it happens unfortunately in the summer. You can grab some eucalyptus, or you can get eucalyptus essential oil, which is just them processing the oil that's naturally in it into a tiny little bottle like this.
Okay.
This is closed, but you get my point.
Yeah. You mentioned on one of the topics you mentioned astroherbology, and I was being all looking at your shop, which I'm definitely actually gonna share here, and I'm gonna Scarlet Moon Creates on Etsy. Let me see if I can show it. There we go. She has her shop, and I was digging through this, and I see Cancer bath soak, and I'm like, what? There's a bath soak specifically for your sign?
Oh yes, I have all 12 signs up there.
I want to know, we have here Nikki that's a Pisces. What does the Pisces bath soak have on it?
Who Pisces?
Wait, an Aries. She's an Aries. She's gonna kill me. Aries.
Don't you ever disrespect me like that.
I will look away.
I am a fire sign. Okay.
Oh.
I am the first sign.
Of all the signs to make a mistake with. Of all the signs to make a mistake with.
I know, right?
As long as
I read Pisces and I said Pisces, but I know you're an Aries.
I can't believe
Oh boy.
Okay, what does an Aries bath soak involve?
Hold on. I have made these recipes a while ago.
Oh, you're good.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember exactly what's in it. I know it's a lot of like fiery stuff. I don't think I put my ingredients on.
Right? I mean, you don't have to tell us your secret
because
first. We just want to know, like,
no, I can tell you. It's just the on Etsy, like people get. There's too many fake accounts and foreign accounts that just kind of steal. It's like Instagram. People who just steal your whole thing. And I did this. And I'm like, feel free to ask me and I can tell you. But
Oh,
I've got herbs, or cedarwood and dragon's blood. So if you find the Aries one, you'll see it's like slightly red, and I love dragon's blood. It sounds
yes.
really
I,
badass, right?
I love dragon's blood. Oh God, the way it
It smells
smells.
so good.
Oh
It smells so
my
good.
God, it smells so good.
Have you ever had dragon?
So dragon's blood is not an herb technically. It's like a resin, and it looks like this chalky red stuff, but it smells so good.
My favorite
And
combo
It,
is dragon's blood and water lily.
ooh,
Smell.
But
ooh.
The
I
vibe.
wanted to show people your shop because they should definitely check it out. There's very cool products there that I was looking and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a good way. Like it's already done. I don't have to do all this stuff. So
Oh,
check it out. Scarlet Moon Creates on Etsy. Okay, so dragon blood for Aries. What would be a good herb that or non-herb that it's related to the sign that Leo could use?
Leo is, we're here in Leo towards the end. A very good one is, I mean, sunflowers is the obvious pick, but another like yellow, very sun related plant is St. John's
oh,
wort.
Dazzy would.
And that
Yes, I
stuff is
was just
great.
gonna say, we have a friend that is like Leo, 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 and everything is sunflowers. So it's funny that
I
everything.
mean, that's the flower for Leo for a reason. But
Mm,
St. John's wort, they're smaller. It's also a yellow flower, but it has a lot of medicinal qualities. It's actually one of the few herbal plants that is kind of accepted in the medical community because there's been lots of studies done, and I guess they decided, oh, that's enough people that said the same thing is happening, that it's okay. But it's used in some medications for depression and helping to balance hormones, particularly those that affect your emotions, and things like that. So it's very well known for that.
So
Um,
okay,
but that's
but
not why necessarily it's a great Leo plant. It's just really strong, very happy looking, and sure of itself, like a Leo. So I would definitely
so
say
it would be. Can you use it for PCOS?
I do not know.
yeah,
I
because
would have
If it,
to.
balance, and I'm like,
so
It could,
okay.
but like I know everybody's PCOS symptoms are not the same, and
Mhm.
then the thing with herbalism in general, or medication too, I feel like we're kind of used to treating symptoms instead of the actual issues,
mm,
like what's causing them. So like inflammation is a symptom,
Mm.
and a lot of what happens with PCOS are the symptoms, not the actual.
root, yeah.
Yeah. So like, are we gonna continue treating the symptoms, or can we deal with the problem? I don't know. With something better, possibly, but it's possible. Again, like you can talk to a licensed herbalist,
Yeah.
particularly someone who deals with they call it women's issues, and uh, see what they say, considering your
Okay.
individual symptoms and how we got to this place. Because I have a friend who somehow got PCOS as a 10-year-old, and that's been
Wow.
really. I mean, I think I met her at 14 or 15, and she's mostly got it under control now, but like, it's trying different things. And for her now to mix of medication and, uh, exercise for health, not physical health, but like mental health and holistic things.
Mhm.
That it was a little easier for her because she is of Asian descent, so family is more aware of things that are not traditional medicine than
That is true.
the average American. But yeah, I'm not a doctor.
No, you just said that about culturally. I feel like Asian people definitely have more of a like they see other means of medicine other than traditional,
Well,
and
there's traditional Chinese medicine, which is a thing, TCM. Um,
okay,
and then there's Ayurveda, which is from India or South Asian countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan. Um, and there's other Asian countries have their thing, but it's still like if you're here in the United States, there are still native peoples here.
yeah,
Um, and in Canada and the native Mexicans. So like we don't have to go to the other side of the world.
right,
And quite often, for smaller issues like allergies and things like that, it's usually best to start ingesting what's local to you.
mm-hmm.
So, um, whereas some plants are might be hard to get here, there are other things that grow here at certain times of the year that might be better for us because they counteract what's in the air or they're used to what's in the air, especially if we're in a city. Because that's another thing I want to say, like when you're getting into herbalism, it's a lot. You want to like kind of choose your focus at first, and it really does help if you start looking around you. Literally, you're
Right.
walking to the bus at work, and like I said, mugworts everywhere. That's my buddy. Goes with me everywhere.
That's
But
that's what I was saying because like you mentioned that they have more understanding of that, like they're more open to it, I guess. In my
yeah,
case, I'm from Puerto Rico. I grew up in Puerto Rico. So if you go to the market, you will see a botanica, which is literally just about herbs and everything because the santeros have their own,
yep,
place to buy all these herbs and everything. So like I'm aware of all of that and that's in that source that they use, right? But I've
yeah.
never seen a botanica here. Well, actually, I saw one the other day because we're in New York City, so I feel like I saw one.
I was about to say, girl, what are you talking
Like,
about? There's the one here.
I lived here for like 6 years only. I haven't explored too much, but I think I saw one. But that's New York City. New York City, you have a
Yeah.
little bit of everything, right?
Well,
But
I
like
mean,
someone in Ohio, for example,
yeah,
they probably won't have one. But it's interesting that you say that. Like, look around your area before you start exploring like
yeah,
Eastern culture or that. And Jess has mentioned this before and other things that there is also a cultural aspect to the spiritual practices, and
yeah.
that you also have to stay like ethical and everything. I know that there's a thing about sage. I've heard
Yes.
about native people telling others to not take all the sage because
Hmm.
it's native to them and all that, and it's not. I don't know much about it, but I know that there's a cultural thing
Yeah,
involved in
yeah.
it. You know.
So it's white sage in particular. So like the sage you have in your kitchen cabinet is like a culinary sage. You can use that instead. There's plenty of it.
Let me show
You
it.
can also,
Sage.
yeah. So that picture is white sage,
Okay,
right?
that don't use that one.
But the thing is, the other thing is you can plant your own. If you buy seeds, or if you happen to have white sage that's not already dried, you can try planting it and growing your own, and then you have your own to take from. And obviously, you're not going to cut it all out because you're going to want some more later,
Right.
right? And then you don't have to worry about it's over harvesting basically. So that
Because
Palo
you see it at like
Santo,
Five Below and stuff. Like, you
yeah.
know, like that's
I
not a
think
bad
I
thing.
And
think
then I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I look at some of those things and I'm like, I don't know if that's what they say it is.
Yeah. It's like hay, it's straw.
I bought one in Five Below for decoration, so I haven't like used it. So I'm like, I just put it there. It's cute in the table. But then I knew what it was, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I have that there. Good. I didn't know when I bought it. But I was gonna say, I think that's how I was made aware of that issue with the sage, because I remember it was a TikTok and I went down a rabbit hole because of that. And it was a person that was complaining about these neighbors that would pass by their house and would take white sage from their garden. And they were natives, and they were telling the neighbors that's actually our plants, that we have a right to take that sage even though it is their little garden, right? And I'm here like, I don't know what side to be on right now. Seriously. But I remember that was the thing that I was like, I went down
walk past my house and reach into my garden.
Right. I mean, it is in
Take my
like
plant
it's in the
without
front
asking me.
I'm gonna say,
You
if
wouldn't
you reach over anything on my property line,
exactly.
no.
Listen,
I got all right to
No,
cut
this is
everything
mine.
off.
And because you're not even asking, right?
that's it.
And they probably being shady about it.
That's it.
And
Yeah, they were.
like,
Because
I didn't take anything. And if you're gonna argue with me, you know you're in the wrong.
I
Because
was
they were asking about it. That's what it was. It wasn't like they asked if they could take some sage or anything. They were being petty because they kept taking it. And the neighbors are like, yo, dude, what's up? And it was like, well, we're natives, you're not, so that's ours, and we have a right to it. And it's like, but it's my front yard. And I'm here like, this is complicated.
I can see like
it's
both sides, but
Right,
also
right.
like, yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I would share it. I would be like, listen, it's there.
All you have to do is ask.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think there might also be, like, I guess from the native or indigenous side of things, depending on what group they're a part of.
Yeah.
Some of them are very anti-property, and like the earth is the earth. You don't own the earth, so it's a different of culture. I'm like, could you leave a note or something?
I'd be too worried about the spiritual repercussions.
But yeah, it was a very interesting topic. I'm telling you, I went down a rabbit hole and I read the comments and everyone be like on one side or the other, and I was like, yeah, I'm conflicted too, man. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, that's not my fight to fight.
Dog. So if you would have came to me respectfully, it wouldn't have got to this point, because yes, it's in my yard, but you're also educating me on the history of it. So then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I can also see, like, because, sometimes hurt people. And, when there's that generational pain or whatever, then it's like, these people have been disrespecting mine for hundreds of years. So,
Touche.
again, that's why it's like,
Personally, I wouldn't be mad. I would just be like, you're right. Like, just take it. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, just make it.
Because like I feel like my intentions would be good to like grow my own, but like if they wanted it, it's theirs. Like,
Right, I would share it. I would definitely share it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Clearly, they're using more of it than you want.
right.
Well, yeah, the cultural things, it's good to be aware so you can make up your mind about how you want to act in different situations. Some other like endangered plants or herbs used magically, Palo Santo. To be quite honest, I don't know that most of the Palo Santo sold in stores nowadays is actually it. So I don't even bother. But that was never something I really used. So I'm not affected by the ban on it or not using it because it's over harvested. There's just not that many trees anymore, and they're not being planted or being able to go back fast enough for the demand. And that's the same thing with the white sage. And there's a third one that I can't really remember. And then, again, it's like Five Below or what was it, Hot Topic back in the day. Like the people buying from these places are not. Come on now,
I
most of the people
never.
in crystal shops, y'all not really, but
They look a little like me.
Yeah, like I said, I bought it and I was like, I bought it for decor. Like I would not buy something that I'm actually gonna do a ritual or something with in a Five Below
I
because
will.
I don't believe that's real.
If it is real, it's probably like sprayed with whatever they use to.
The crystals at Five Below
Mm.
too are like they scare me. I'm not touching that.
I just went the other day and I saw a bunch of incense and it was like the chakra incenses and the tarot, this and that. And I'm
Don't do it
like,
to yourself. Don't
What,
do it to
Nikki?
yourself.
and that incense. And then they had it next to like a pop fizz incense. And I'm like, I just bought the pop fizz because it smelled good. But I was like, I would not take seriously these products because you can tell that it's like gimmicky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then those are the types of incense that'll give you like a headache because they put some chemicals in them
The fragrance.
so they smell good for the rest of eternity.
Nikki, what were you?
Wait, who bought?
I want a pop fizz one, but I knew it was fake.
First of all, who in their good right mind that's truly tapped in buy stuff from Five Below? I just,
Not spiritually, no.
No,
Not
not spiritually, though.
I
not,
just,
not spiritual items. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
but Five Below ain't no better neither, cause you know better. Y'all know better.
I mean capitalism, but on the other hand, like we have tons, Terry. We have tons of botanicas here that you can't walk any 2 blocks in New York City. Well, maybe Manhattan. I don't know what those people in Midtown be doing, but like especially here in the Bronx, I trip over them all the time. And to be quite honest, for certain things, I will go right there because those are the cheapest place to get any herbal anythings in the city, and then certain other stuff like candles and whatever, right? You buy my frankincense that I need and ran out of and forgot I needed for $1, right? And it's what it's supposed to be, but God knows how long it's been sitting there. And none of those plants will I ingest because, again, God knows how long they've been there or if they were ethically sourced. Like, and this is not to say, all botanicas are suspect, but some are, and I've seen some very suspect things because I don't care whether it's church or Santeria or Wicca. People are people. Some people are out to make money. Some people are out to manipulate and hurt other people. Some people are out to get ahead, and it doesn't matter what their spiritual beliefs are. And I've seen it in all different religious and spiritual backgrounds. So you have to be a little wary. Some things you can get from church stores. Frankincense and myrrh, those are both resins that are popular pretty much across the board with spiritual works for purifying, cleansing, and blessing your space.
Mm-hmm.
Incense, they're also very good if you want to make your own incense. They're very good bases because you want to have a resin that kind of starts the binding process and it smells good. You could also get them at church stores, and they don't ask you for your Catholic ID when you go in there. So it's the same way if you go in the Botanica, they're not asking you, hey, are you a follower of Santeria? Do you have the Orishas up in your house? Like,
Right.
as long as you're respectful and you have your money.
Jess, you wanna tell the story of what happened to you after we did the charms thing?
Oh my gosh. So we did a charms casting episode, which
I watched that. Now I'm scared.
so I had this like charm bowl here, and I have a shelf tucked away right here.
Mhm.
I'm like, we're on my nightstand right now. And there's no way that a crystal like this big would just fall off the shelf randomly, right? Without something pushing it. I literally, after the episode, I put the bowl of charms on my nightstand. I lay down to go to sleep, and I just hear boom, and like some scattering of charms.
Oh wow.
There was a big chunk of tiger's eye that
Ooh.
fell off the shelf directly in the center of the bowl.
We were like,
And I was like, what
And
does
it
this?
wasn't the cat.
No.
not the cat. Because it's like high on the wall, you know?
And like, I can't show you because I'm on a laptop, but like, there's no way. Like, nothing was even close to the edge.
Wow.
It was weird.
She was freaking out, but everything pointed to, was it,
Do some cleansing.
yeah.
Like,
Because she did not cleanse after she did the charm thing.
no, because like, I didn't think it was like an evil thing or like I shouldn't be doing it, but I think it was like, hey, bitch,
Yeah.
you might want to cleanse your energy after doing that kind of thing. Like,
What do they call those? Omens or like, I don't know. I call them nudges.
yeah, like a
Yeah, pay attention.
listen, like
Right.
we're sending you a big sign, a big ass sign.
Right.
Pay attention.
And the thing is, I have a charm, an incense cone, which I represent as cleansing, and
Okay.
it's what it landed on and broke it.
Wow.
I was like, cleansing one.
He said you didn't cleanse.
We were talking about cleansing, and I just remembered that. And I'm like, oh, there you go. So, what would you recommend for cleansing a space and your energy before you do this? Or
Personally, lemon. And now, exactly.
she did.
She's muted, but I know exactly what she said. I do too.
Lemon's the best.
Like, come on now. For anything. And I will put lemon in everything I clean with. But that is not,
Thing. Do you
I
know?
know it's a happy scent. And I don't hate sage, but I don't particularly love it. And I think I started to say earlier, I don't really do the smoke cleansing thing because of my sinuses. So I like sprays, which, you can use moon sprays. You can get the little bottles from the dollar store and put oil or alcohol, like vodka or rubbing alcohol, whatever you have. And so a few drops of essential oils and spray, and guess what? It does the same thing as the smoke.
That's awesome to know, like different options.
So it's kind of like Febreze, but magical, and not Febreze because Febreze leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. But yeah, I just feel like personally, like lemon, that association of like it gets rid of things that are sticky. So like goo and stuck on food surfaces or whatever, but it's also antibacterial and antimicrobial. So you take those associations, or I take those associations and put it on a spiritual spin, and that's it clears the air, it clears those stuck on energies that I don't necessarily feel like I get too many of other people's energies stuck on me, because
I was about to say, like, I feel like lemon would be like resistant to bitterness or like deflect bitter people or something.
My dad, like back in the day, my dad would always tell me whenever I would get a little bit sick or a little bit, he's always telling me, take lemon, take lemon, take lemon. Like it was like a thing. And the funny thing is that he's from the Dominican Republic, and almost all of the water from the Dominican Republic to keep it like better for digestion, they do have the flavor of lemon, because like they put lemon on the water bottles to, even when they bought like the big bottles, they still put lemon on them to like clean it, I guess.
That sounds like me when I go to LA, because I hate their water.
Yeah, they put like it's not even
I
tap.
didn't know that.
The tap water is not very digestible, so
Yeah.
like, it gets you sick. But even when they buy the
Bottled water.
water, they still put lemon on it just to make sure.
Wow. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's so funny because I would go to the Dominican Republic and I'm like, everything tastes like lemon.
lemon. I mean, that's probably gets old real quick. But
It does. It sure does.
I mean, I would have to put myself in DR to see if I can finally get sick of lemon. But I never do. And again, this is technically not a herb; it's a fruit. If you get like the essential oil, it's from the rind or the peel. So again, not an herb technically, but it's the fruit of a plant, and you use it herbally.
You can also, to double back off of that,
Mm-hmm.
to cleanse your space, you don't have to use say anything, but onion and potato also help cleanse your space.
Nice.
I'm gonna
I was
tell you.
gonna say if you're gonna order lemon in Dominican Republic, it's actually lime.
Okay.
This is a quick little story. So my friend, like many years ago, she goes to the Dominican Republic and she tells me, what do you call the green little tiny like citron? And I'm like, that the green one is lemon.
Yes.
And she's like, that's a lime. And I'm like, no, it's a lemon. And like we start talking about the fact that in Spanish for us, limon is the green one,
Yeah.
is the yellow one. So she tells me that when she was in Dominican Republic, the issue that she has is that she kept asking for lemon for her drinks. And
Oh.
say we don't have any. And then one day she was like, you really don't have any lemon for this, like I think it was a drink. And she was like, really, like the other thing. And he's like, oh, you mean lime? And then that's where the whole thing came up, and
They're sweet.
asking me, and I'm like, yeah, no. And then it was like a whole debate that it was for years. Like every time I would get together with my friends, everyone's like, Powell thinks that lemons are green, and I'm like, they are green. But just an advice: if you go to the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, it's the other way around the country.
I don't think I've ever had to ask for a lime, and I mean I haven't been since like half a lifetime ago to Puerto Rico, but that I forgot that
Yeah, it's the other way.
lemon is lime. I don't think I've ever asked for a lime. Lime, whatever. But that's
So I'm gonna do a little, since we have the herbs and I guess plants that you mentioned before that were like commonly used. If you could tell us like a couple of words on like what they're mostly used for, what do you relate them to? It's
okay.
a little flashcard game, basically.
Okay.
Okay.
Flashcard game.
Flashcard game. Okay. Favorite, which by the way, I looked in your page. In your store, and I did see that the Gemini bath soak had like lavender nets to it, and I was like, I'm a Gemini, by the way. I was like, oh, I asked about
what it is like the plants, they have their associations with the elements, and then whether what is it, they are depending on the type of plant and the part of the plant that's often used, they would be more often associated with like fixed or mutable or cardinal and that kind of thing, or they are associated with a particular planet because they might be associated with a particular god or goddess. So like the Artemisia, Mugwort, moon because of Artemis, who is a moon goddess. Right. So then that makes it relatively easy. Like that's where the astroherbology comes in, and that's also what helps herbalists sort of prescribe in a way to certain people, depending on what issues you may have. You to go back to what we were talking about with Jess and the anti-inflammatories, right? There are many different herbs that are anti-inflammatory, but their purpose or how they help inflammation is different, and some of them are cooling, like the chamomile, right? And others are warming, like cinnamon, but it still helps with inflammation. It just helps in a completely different way. And depending on the type of inflammation you have and where it is, and your body and anything else you might be taking, that is how you pick which herb for inflammation you use.
I've seen Jess use like she's used cinnamon too.
Oh, okay.
So lavender, what do you relate it to?
Lavender is easy and hard because it's one of those that everybody, it feels like, except me, loves lavender. And lavender is similar to rose, where it has a lot of properties. Um, but in general, it's considered an airy plant. That's why I had it in the Gemini, because that's an air sign. And it's used for both sleep. So if you want maybe remember your dreams, not necessarily have lucid dreams like the mugwort, because
Right.
I don't think it's really associated with lucid dreaming, but to help you remember your dreams, but it generally promotes sleep in that way. But it's also it can be relaxing, but it can also be exciting. And I think that's why I don't like lavender, but personally, but it depends on the person. Let me see.
I find it exciting, that relaxing, even though I've seen like a lot of products that are like for sleep and like all of that. I've related it to that, but when I smell it, I find it exciting. I find it like it gives me like
Yeah, because it has both herbal actions within it, which is kind of rare. I mean, all plants, like people, they're not all one thing or all the other, but they might lean more towards one or the other. So, like, something that's kind of similar would be the chamomile again, where it's calming and soothing, and people have tea before they go to sleep, to kind of rest your body. Whereas lavender also has, like I said, an active and warming aspect to it. So not everybody finds it calming. Some people it helps clear the mind. So you can use that. Like when you're feeling fuzzy or you can't focus or feeling like misdirected, that's often when some people use lavender. So if you want to make yourself a spray to help you focus, you can use lavender for that. That's an option.
I like that. And that's why my cleaning products, they all smell like lavender, because it kind of like motivates me more to keep cleaning, I guess. I'm like, Okay, one more. What about ginger? Like, what is
ginger is your fiery friend. Just off the top, for like physical health, it helps your digestive system, particularly if we're talking about gas, bloating, and also things like nausea, diarrhea, things like that. Ginger helps with that. That's why, all the Caribbean people with their ginger beers and ginger candies and all of that stuff. I'm not saying that's why they use it, but it's helpful. And ginger's in everything for that reason. I think it helped combat a lot of the other fiery things we eat. Otherwise, right, it's a root, right? So and you might want to use it for stability or because it's like it also has like a burning sensation. You want to use it for creative projects. Um, you can make an incense or a bath to kind of like get you going in the morning. Ginger will definitely wake you up and burn your ass if that's something you need. Uh, but and there's also a sexual, sensual element. If we want to go way far out there, I've definitely heard of some sexual aids made out of ginger. And while I'm saying this, I'm also saying, please don't do it to yourself without somebody else around, because I have heard some things and not everything is for everybody.
Yeah, I remember my ex would take airing out his business. He don't care. My ex
Okay.
would take, like those little bottles of like concentrate ginger, and he would do it whoop, all the time.
It helps. I don't know necessarily that it counts as an aphrodisiac, but it gets the blood flowing.
I was about to say, does it get you pumping? Like,
Right? It makes you active and passionate. Again, it's that ginger is that burning sensation. So like
There is
when you want to get started with herbs, brain function. That is,
there's a lot of things to the brain.
yeah.
There's
There's
too,
a lot.
that's too generic, Cameron. That is
Well,
too
we talked a little
generic.
bit about some hormonal things. I'm gonna assume you mean like maybe memory, because
I have
I think
that.
that's what I associate the term brain function with, but I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rosemary is really good for that. You can make a rosemary tincture, and so tinctures is one of those preparations. You use alcohol, not rubbing alcohol, because this is something you be taking internally, and we want you to live to see another day. Um, a high concentrate of brandy or vodka if you don't really want the brandy flavor, and you put rosemary in there. Leave it for a couple of weeks, strain it, and put it in a new bottle. And a couple of drops a day usually helps with that. And you just put them under your tongue, 2 or 3 drops, and that's a good one for that. And then if you don't want to take internally, I haven't really too much mentioned culinary things. I like putting rosemary in my food.
Mm.
I mean, that's mostly what people do with rosemary.
Yeah,
So,
rosemary chicken. So thick.
like, magic doesn't have to be like this whole elaborate thing separate from your everyday life. Like, a lot of people start with herbalism or learning about herbs with the kitchen cabinet, because you were probably taught that already growing up. Now you're just getting an extra layer of it.
Right.
So you don't have to run out and go to a fancy health food store or organic herb farm to get herbs. You can start with your kitchen cabinet. You can start with the weeds in your yard, or the berries growing from the trees in the parks. Not Central Park, because they are extra vigilant there, and there's a police station in the park, so I don't want anybody going to jail for picking berries in Central Park. But that's another conversation. The what was I gonna say? It's just accessibility is there, right? So you can start with culinary things, and you can use it in your food. Just season it. With that in mind, if you want to create a chant or a little spell to say while you're stirring or you're pouring the seasoning, or putting that herbal rub mixture on your barbecue, you can. But just good thoughts or focusing on your intention helps. And if you do a little research, you can maybe focus on certain herbs in certain seasons when they're actually in the season. So like early spring into summer time is fresh and growing. You probably can get it cheaper, fresh in the store during early summer and spring, and that's really good for coughs and colds. When a lot of people get coughs and colds is in the spring, um, and that helps, your throat health and all of that stuff. And if you add some time to your food when you're cooking it, that can help you and or your family. You want to just have good health for your family. Time is good for health and healing. That's another thing I want to say. If you go out and buy like these herbal books, like Scott Cunningham's and what's this woman's name, Judy Ann Knock and whoever else, a lot of them people just go straight for the list of herbs and whatnot. But you'll see they put things in categories like these are good for love and these are good for protection. Healing is a big category as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean the herb is going to heal you physically. It's more the magical healing. It's you're doing whatever spell work for healing.
That is so interesting.
That makes sense. Like there's a difference. I just wanted to clarify that. I remember being confused back in the day, and I was just like, I didn't.
I'm not healing. What's happening? Okay, well, that was very interesting. I think that this is a very, very good like introduction to
Yeah,
and everything. We would love to have you again, Lachette. It was very interesting talking to you, and I feel like there's a lot more that we can definitely go into. I feel like now I'm gonna go and buy more eucalyptus, like because that one is dried out. Like I cannot smell it anymore. I need to buy more lavender. Like lavender season just ended, so all the batches are on. So I'm like, okay, I need to get my house smelling again, like I like it.
It's a good time to get eucalyptus because you're gonna need it for fall and winter, cold, allergy, all that mucusy stuff.
I need it. I need it in my house always.
Easy, easy.
Just a reminder, y'all. August 23rd, Mercury's in the microwave again.
In the microwave.
August 23rd to September 14th. So just so you are aware, we are going to have our episode on life path numbers coming up.
Oh.
And also the one in the annual perfections wheel. That's a recorded one that we will be releasing soon. So be on the lookout these next weeks on at Wednesdays at 10 p.m. We will be posting them here on YouTube. But those are the next two episodes that are coming up. Thank you so much, Lachette, for joining us. If you want to say a little outro and let them know where to find you.
Oh, it's just me. You can find me at Scarlet Moon Creates on Etsy. I make all natural bath and body products and give oracle and tarot card readings there. You can also follow me on Instagram at Scarlet_Moon_Creations if you want to follow me there.
Thank you so much. And we have Jess. Let them know.
This was so educational. Thank you so much. But I'm on Instagram at JessTX.
Thank you. And you can find me at bigcherry.com or at BoriCurves on Instagram. And you're right. Like it was very educational. I feel like I'm like, oh, every time that we do a show like this and I learn about something, I'm like, I feel like my instincts have been very like on point with a lot of stuff. And then I'm like, wow, like if you research, you could actually make sense of a lot of things, like why you're more drawn to one thing than another. Cameron, good night, Cameron. He's trying to like he's trying to get with Jess all the time. But anyway, thank you so much. And I would definitely extend the invitation for you to join us on any show you would like. It's great to have you, and you're very knowledgeable on your thing and like explore things with us. So love it. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
we do a little hard at the end. Let's try.
Oh, okay.
Because we're an hour. Goodbye. Bye. And it